Welcome back to Bisexual Killjoy, the place where we know bisexuality isn't a phase, it's a phenomenon. I'm Bailey, and this is...
Jace.
In today's episode, Bi Plus Single and Ready to Mingle, we're diving into a topic that a lot of our listeners and friends and family members and strangers on the street and the internet in general, how to date as a Bi Plus person. How do indeed? How do we relate to love as single Bi Plus people? I mean, neither of us are single, but we know what it's like to be single, at least. Boy, do I. I guess first things first, as we jump into this topic, what does it even mean to date? Like, regardless of being a Bi Plus person, but what does it mean to date?
You know, lately I've been leaning into the concept of going on first dates as interviews. I think that online there's been a lot of, oh, what is this? An interview? Whenever somebody goes on a first date, it's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am here to gauge compatibility. Are we looking for the same things? Are we excited about life in the same way? Do we view ourselves as whole people who want to share a life with another whole human person, right? So I'm very much leaning into that definition of yes, this is an interview. There is intentionality behind it, is what I'm trying to say. What about you?
Well, I think that dating is such a cool, multifaceted word because on one hand, dating is very much like, what are your goals? Which is businessy. And I apologize, but we need to remember that my 9 to 5 is businessy. So what are the goals of dating? Are you dating to connect with people? Are you dating to have fun? Are you dating to find a life partner? Are you dating to add a new member to your polycule? Are you dating to get stock tips? Which I knew a girl who definitely was dating old guys to get stock tips. And I'm just like, yes, absolutely. So the cool thing about dating is it can mean so many things. Like my approach to dating has changed as I've gotten older. Now I date my partner to keep the romance alive. But when I was younger, I was dating to go to restaurants in Boston and expand my scene.
I mean, honestly, that has been the life hack of the century. When I move to a new place, I'll revamp my dating apps and be like, I need help figuring out what this new place is, getting myself acclimated to the restaurants, the fun things to do. I want to go on dates. And dates are actually a great way to just kind of build up my, culinary repertoire? Places to go to.
Yeah, that's how you explore the city is through relationships. When you're dating, I hope most of us realize this might not be a person that I ever see again outside of this space. So I might as well make the most of the experience and, be grateful for the time we had, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the older I get, oh gods, I feel old now. The more I think about life as memories. Life is meant to be lived and to have fun new memories with. Maybe this doesn't turn out long term. Maybe we don't go on a second date. That's fine. But I have a fun story now, and that aids in me just living life to the fullest.
But let's add the wrinkle that is being Bi Plus in dating, because it is wrinkly.
There are buts and ands and a bunch of other minefields.
Yeah, being Bi Plus and dating can be a minefield. On the one hand, it can be super fun. If you match with someone who doesn't just oh, I don't care if you're bisexual or pansexual, but they're like, oh, that's really cool. What does that mean to you? Or maybe they disclose that they're also bi. Chef's kiss on that. But why is dating while Bi Plus complex, do you think?
I think it's complex because very often dating asks of bi people to do a lot of labor that we just didn't sign up to do or that we didn't realize we had to do. It's a layer of, I think you're a really cool person. I would love to go on a first date, hang out with you. And also sometimes catching your breath in that moment and being like, am I going to be faced with microaggressions, with assumptions about bisexuality? Am I gonna get catfished? Throwback to that time where you were catfished on a date.
I'll share that story again.
And having to serve as educator. Sometimes whenever I go on a date, I don't know if I'm going to have to be an educator in this moment in time. Am I going to have to teach you what bisexuality is? More than just having to teach you how to treat me, how I wanted to be treated, how I want to be loved.
I think that we will unpack more of this as we go along through the main portion of the episode today. And with that in mind, we're going to pause for a quick word from our sponsors. Hey there, Killjoys. We started a Patreon because we got a podcast, and like every other podcaster our age, gotta have a Patreon to pay our bills. Subscribe now. get access to extra episodes, Substacks, I think, video content, and more. Okay, love you. Bye.
Are you being for real?
Kinda. We got it all. We have access to our private essays on Substack, as well as audio components with them so you can carry us around and listen to us on the bus. We also have access to our Discord, access to live events, a lot more access to me and Jace to tell us about your problems and why your boyfriend isn't very good and why you should leave him and how you should date people and how you should make your dinner and all these other things. What other things?
Our very exclusive book club where we actually mail you a book every quarter and we sit down to discuss, sponsored by your favorite professor, Jace.
We'll also send you a handwritten letter. How about that? We'll send you some neat stickers and some other stuff that I find on my travels, because I'm a pack rat, and I'd love to share my bounty with you.
So if you want first dibs on all the new things that are coming up, join us there.
Thanks for supporting Bisexual Killjoy. And back to the show. And we're back. So as we get into the meat of this discussion, we're talking about self-love and singleness. We're talking about dating. And as we wrestle with those topics, I think it's important to start with why I feel bi+ folks struggle so much in this arena. We're so uncertain. We don't know what to disclose. Some of us have never dated more than one gender before. Where do I start? Where do I go? How do I talk to people? On and on and on and on. We've heard from all of you about that. For my work over the Bisexual Resource Center doing events, I've heard that from bi+ women who are like, well, how do I date women? How do I put myself out there? How do I connect? I have heard similar things from bi guys as well. So it's a tense place to be. Like, dating is already hard.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue, not the biggest, one of the yuckier issues of it is the fact that bi+ people, you disclose that you're bi and people make assumptions about who you are, what you're into, what you're looking for. You tell someone that you're bi and they're like, ooh, that's super sexy. Do you want to come home with me? Or do you want to kiss that girl? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Like, ooh, gross.
My eyes are going to roll to the back of my head. I mean, we've spoken about this to some extent in our myth of passing privilege, right? Being fetishized is not a privilege. Just because bisexuality in women particularly is quote unquote more accepted. It's not that it's accepted, it's that it's fetishized.
Mm-hmm.
And having that fetishization projected onto you can feel so icky. And very often, it doesn't even have to do with the actual thing being proposed, right? I would argue that so many bi women are down for threesomes. I'm sorry, or is that just me?
Stop projecting onto the audience.
But the way that you ask has to be respectful, or else I don't trust you to go into this endeavor right now, honestly.
This is the thing about dating someone is a lot of times people would be down to match your freak, but you made it weird. Or not you, but like the person you're talking to made it weird. Maybe you would send a risque photo, but they're like, hey, give me your panties or whatever. Like, man, we haven't even had dinner together. We haven't followed the pace of this. Like, you could have asked me in 2 weeks after we talked a little bit more. I'd been happy to, but you were gross. And so I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I don't like being fetishized, right? I really am not, I'm not the one. Don't do it. I will embarrass you in public. The story that you were alluding to was when I got reverse unicorn hunted by a couple. And I connected with a woman on Tinder back in the day. We went out to meet up for a drink. When I got there, her partner was there too. Like a guy that she had not mentioned, I did not know was going to be there, which is unsafe in itself and I did report that. And I hope they got kicked off the app and reconsidered what they're doing and being predators. But it's like, man, if you had asked me or if you had been upfront with me, I wouldn't have been the person, but you would have found the person who would be into that. So just be clear about your goals in the first place.
Be honest, be transparent, be clear. But also you were just straight up unicorn hunted, by the way. That's just straight up the definition. And it fucking sucks.
Yeah, man. But aside from that, aside from society being creepy about bi+ people and making assumptions about us and, oh, you're a bi+ woman, you must want to cheat or you must want to be in a threesome or you must be all of these other things, there is the fact that we're not welcome in queer spaces either. Like, on the one hand, I'm more likely to be fetishized in a straight space than I am in a queer space. I find that's been my experience. Has that been your experience?
I mean, I would say the odds are pretty much the same.
Okay.
In my experience, whether or not you're fetishized has a lot more to do with, is the person that I'm talking to an asshole?
Mm.
And I find that the chances of that in the world in general are 50-50. It doesn't matter which circle you're in.
Okay. I just haven't been to as many queer-specific spaces as you have, I think. Like, my odds will continue to increase around that as I spend more time in queer spaces.
But I think that it's important to mention your own experience in queer spaces because we're raised in a cis heteronormative society, right? And learning how to flirt with the same gender can very often feel so intimidating. And it is not rare for the few spaces that we actually have to learn, right? To make mistakes, to figure out what it is that we enjoy. Are queer spaces where we're able to chat with others. Hey, do you know how this works? Or I'm interested in this end goal. How do I get there? And queer spaces is where that knowledge is exchanged. But if we're not welcome there, then how do we put the pieces together?
And for those of you who are thinking, oh, but bi people are welcome in queer spaces, I need you to be really fucking for real. I love you, but let's be fucking for real about it. We got a bisexual killjoy moment from a listener recently that was someone saying like, hey, I see that you're having this sapphic women's night. I'm bi. Can I come? And they were like, no. And she's like, oh, okay. No one wanted to go to your dusty event anyway.
Fair enough.
But when you say sapphic just means like attraction to femininity from my understanding, right? Is that your understanding of sapphic as a term?
I don't want to get into definitions right
now. Okay. Then just say yes. Say yes, more or less.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Which is to say, bi plus people are not welcome in a lot of queer spaces. They're viewed as traitors, as turncoats, as people who are so straight, aligned, and allied that they themselves will always be the enemy. And I'll die on that hill. Having done events, I found myself in the struggle of trying to make bi-specific spaces and running into some very unique problems. Like, I have a bi night coming up. Well, by the time you listen to it, it will have passed, but perhaps there will be another one soon. We called it Bi Plus Night, and the event organizer were like, this was super successful, but just like one note, question, curiosity. Maybe we use like Queer Night instead to get more people. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. Allies are welcome. Bi plus allies are welcome, but it's not about them. We don't get specific spaces. And I'd rather have fewer people here who are queer, lesbian, gay, whatever that means to them, and have bi plus people recognize and understand like, no, this was made for you, with you in mind. And you're going to meet other bi plus folks, which like how many bi specific events when you were younger, like in your early 20s, how many bi-specific events did you go to?
God's above. I think that if I ever wanted a bi-specific event, I had to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Which I hate because it's really hard to put together an event. It's really hard to do outreach and market and push and promote. And then you're still not guaranteed that people will come. And you don't know if the people who are coming to these events are even the right demographic per our conversation this morning. Right? About the event I just put on and how someone invited themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you have to think about safety and you have to think about hate. And it's just like it's a whole thing, it's getting off topic. We're not talking about bi plus singleness anymore. I'm just Bailey bitches about queer organizing for 1 hour. But you were alluding to how we aren't socialized to flirt with the opposite and or same gender. Like the way we're socialized to flirt is very different. So I don't know. I'll kick it over to you. I'll be quiet.
Well, that tangent has me on my own tangent, but I think that the message that we were trying to get across is that being a bi plus person, a single person, learning the ropes in terms of what do I enjoy about dating? What are my goals about dating? What do I enjoy about myself that I now am searching for a partner? So many of these questions, if you aren't wrestling with them yourself individually, you can do it in a group. And doing it in a group is healthy, right? Let's get this clear. Self-love, self-knowledge, learning who you are happens in community. The way that we can take the next step in that journey as bi plus people is by engaging with other queer folks. But the biggest barrier is that we are not necessarily welcome in queer spaces. And if we're not welcome, or if our struggles, right, our need to talk about this out loud isn't validated in a queer space, then where do we go? And what do we do?
I guess we, like you said, we make our own shit. We make our own events.
Yeah. So let's embrace my analogy that dating is, as a matter of fact, an interview setting. What are you trying to do? And I would actually argue that if it is an interview, then the first step is for you to know why you're there. What are you searching for? What are you looking for? My last round of seriously dating, right, when I met Anna, I remember being really frustrated because I wanted a partner who had a life of their own, who was excited for life, who knew what they wanted, somebody who didn't want a partner to fill their entire days and weeks just doting on them. Because that to me just seemed excessively boring. I didn't want somebody's life to revolve entirely around me. But as I was laying out this extensive list of requirements in a potential partner, I sat down to think, but why would somebody want to be with me? What is it about me that I value so much that I want my partner to see? And that was a tough question to grapple with at first, especially because what I had been taught and what I was seeing in movies and TV shows were these like romantic epic loves where like you couldn't get enough of each other and your life totally revolves around one another. But I was studying my master's degree at the time and I was like, I have a full life. I love what I'm studying. I love what I'm doing. I love my job. I was a department assistant and I really did love doing the admin work. I loved researching BIPLUS topics. I loved writing. Okay, I'm living a full life. And the reason that I want a partner and that I'm searching for somebody long term is because I want somebody who pushes me in my life to do better at the things that I love, to ask me probing questions and help me grow, to share cool memories and have fun experiences, who wants to take me to places that I might not want to go alone. That was the kind of person that I was searching for. And was it hard being on the apps while maintaining this huge high standard? Yes, it was very, very hard. But it wasn't impossible. It definitely saved me hours of second dates with people who just didn't meet the basic requirements.
That idea of self-knowledge and self-awareness is really critical when it comes to dating, regardless of orientation, regardless of long-term goals, if you will. That in itself is very powerful and would challenge everyone listening to start there first before you even start dipping your toes in dating. Maybe you are a bi-plus woman or femme-aligned person and you're like, I'm ready to get in the dating pool, but I have all these questions. Like maybe you should start asking yourself some of those questions and getting to some answers before you put yourself out into the world, because dating can be so impactful on our self-esteem and sense of self that you can easily lose who you are in the dating world if you aren't like rock solid or, you know, like at least pebbly on who you are and what you're looking for.
And it's important to acknowledge that self-love is difficult. Self-knowledge, self-awareness is hard. It's not a walk in the park. But self-love is the foundation of our loving practice. Self-love is what allows us to receive love from others. Self-love is what allows us to give a profound commitment to love and to another's spiritual and emotional growth.
And that's what Bell Hooks is talking about. It is asking you to take up the practice of loving yourself. And I didn't really understand that when I was single. And everyone tells you, oh, the right person will find you when you're least expecting it, which makes you want a street fight. Just let's go outside. There is some truth to it. I think it's a little like glib and pushes aside. I'm like, hey, I know you're really frustrated that you've been in the dating pool for so long, but you haven't found anyone who like aligns with you. But the more in alignment you get with yourself, your personal bullshit detector is more like locked on. And exactly what you're saying, like you're wasting less of your time. And by wasting less of your time, the likelihood of you meeting a good partner or a good person to date, if it's for a long time or a little bit of a time, go up exponentially because you know what you want.
Absolutely. And it saves you so many hours of frustration. Not knowing what you want or being confused about the end goal that you're striving for leads to you wasting your time. It leads to frustration. It leads to unmet expectations. It leads to rants in the middle of the night of why in the world. That's why self-love is the crucial foundation for this entire practice, right? In order for us to prioritize a successful outcome, whatever that outcome might be, we need to love ourselves enough to hold steady in what we want and who we are and what we care for.
And unfortunately, self-love has kind of been co-opted. It's this buzzword, this buzz phrase about, shower steamer, bath salts, fuzzy robes, like that's self-love. No, I mean, yes, important to have creature comforts, but self-love is more of an internalized practice, a thing where you're dating yourself. You're asking yourself questions that you might ask someone that you want to partner with or be with long-term or even a friendship with. And that is actual self-love, like getting to know who you are and learning how to love yourself. And it will make you a better, I'm saying capital L, like a better lover of people in all the forms that love takes: platonic, romantic, erotic, etc.
And Bell Hooks talks about 6 pillars of self-esteem that I did find really, really important. She adapts Nathaniel Branden's 6 pillars of self-esteem, highlighting the practice of living consciously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, and the practice of personal integrity. And she goes deep into them in her chapter on commitment, and it is tough. She herself admits that this was the most difficult chapter to write because self-love has been co-opted not just to mean material comforts, right? Also to mean selfishness, also to mean greed and narcissism. But that is not what we're talking about here today. Self-love allows us to see ourselves as full human beings that do not succumb easily to negativity disguised as realism, right? We are here to embrace ourselves, our full potential, and to prioritize our wants because our wants are important too. And what we're striving for is important too. On the contrary, right?
Yeah.
Self-love and living a life that centers loving allows us to set better boundaries, and it allows us to respect ourselves and each other more fully.
I would then ask you in the audience, if self-love has been co-opted and turned into an idea of selfishness, right? Who benefits from that ideology or that line of thought?
I'm going to give you the honor, Bailey, since you're so excited.
Is it the patriarchy?
I mean, it is the patriarchy, but more specifically, it's capitalism,
It
right?
is capitalism, yeah.
The more hyper-individualized that our society becomes, the more quote-unquote self-reliant that we try to make ourselves be, the less emphasis we put on a community reciprocity. And that community reciprocity is where we learn who we are and what we value and what we want. We need the freedom to make mistakes. And making mistakes does not mean that we're engaging in a neglectful practice, right? It means that we're human. And sometimes humans make mistakes. And that gives us information that is necessary to grow as a fully formed people.
So I feel like we have Trojan horsed the audience a little bit. We were like, we're going to talk about being bi, plus, and single, but really love yourself more, goddammit.
I think that that's important because we need to love ourselves more, especially as we start dating or as we keep dating. And to that extent, Bailey, I would love to ask you about your self-love journey.
It's wild of you to assume that I'm on a journey at all. I think I started loving myself when I realized that I didn't have to be a servant for other people, which I alluded to in our last episode. When I realized that I was allowed to want things and not just do them because other people wanted them for me, that's when I was like, oh, you have opinions? Oh, you have desires? Oh, interesting. Tell me some more about that. I remember it was like after my first big breakup in my early 20s, and all of a sudden I was on my own. I was living on my own in every other sense except physical. I was living with my dad and my sisters, and I was just having so many dark nights of the soul that I just didn't know what next. What do I do now? And I had always wanted to go to Paris. I'd always wanted to go to France, and we hadn't done it because it was too expensive, which is, is fair. But what are we doing with money at 21? Are we going to buy a house? I don't think so. Even then the economy wasn't good. Anyway, so I decided, like, I really want to go to Paris. I want to go to Paris and I want to do these things. And it was on that trip who I took with a fabulous former classmate of mine who was closer to my mom's age. And she was just like really solid to be with. Lisa, if you're listening, I love you. But during that trip, there was so much alone time for me to figure out, oh, I actually don't like this type of food. Oh, I actually hate going to bed late. And I just found out all of these new Bailey facts that were so contrary to what I had ever assumed about myself. And from there, it was very much like, what do I want? Who do I want to be? What are my goals for myself? Physically, career-wise, spiritually, emotionally. And I was single for a very, very, very long time and went on bad dates and had to learn more about myself and break habits. But it was that time when I did something for myself that I finally was like, oh, no, you're actually super interesting and I want to get to know you.
I love that.
Do you have a similar story about that self-love journey, or how did you arrive to it?
Well, I don't think that there is any one particular moment that I can point to, like you and your trip to Paris, which I love. For me, at some point, I got really bored. And I want to validate for folks who feel like their self-love journey was very anticlimactic, because mine felt very anticlimactic. It was just like, man, it's really boring to have these thoughts of I hate myself every day. It's really boring to go about life feeling zombie-esque. Life got really, really boring in that way. And I was just kind of tired. And I was like, well, what if we start really, really small? And I started very, very small, just kind of like, I am so grateful that I get to have this nice cup of coffee. I want to say that good coffee in Albany was very, very hard to come by, so this was genuine gratitude.
Putting Albany on blast.
Albany does not have good coffee shops or good coffee. There, I said it. We started taking very small steps. Instead of showering with music, I would start listening to my favorite book. And instead of listening to Taylor Swift, I was obsessed with Taylor Swift at some point. And I love her breakup songs, don't get me wrong. I am obsessed with the duality of it. I started listening to affirmation songs, and I was like, what would it be like? Embrace the thought for a second. What would it be like if you didn't have to hate yourself every day? What would it be like if you instead had some fun in the mornings? What would it be like if you smiled when you saw yourself in the mirror instead of scowling? What would happen? Slowly what happened is that life became more fun. I had space for other things. I was like, damn, I'm good. Every time I wrote something and I went back to read it. And that felt good. That felt so much better. And I was like, okay, then maybe we can start there. I thought that affirmations were corny, and I thought that meditation was something that I could never do. And I thought that gratitude journals sucked for the longest time until I started doing them. And Belle talks about this too, right? She talks about affirmations and how she was like, that sounds cheesy. And yeah. Until they're not. Until it's nice. Until it's like, yeah, you know what? I am a really good writer. You know what? Yeah, I'm really, really cute. You know what? Yeah, I'm pretty nice at doing my makeup. And things start turning out that way. I also learned that I needed time to think. I needed more time in my weekly schedule to just think and relax and be a little bored. And that allowed me to be more introspective and to take more notice about what's going on in my brain. And to this day, I prioritize time to think in my schedule. I'm very, very mindful of how much energy I have to spend on tasks. And it's like, I need time to think, or else I'm going to start externalizing all my problems. I'm going to start saying that it's everybody else's fault except mine. And I'm very mindful about not falling into that trap again. And that is self-love, even when I don't like doing nothing sometimes.
Yeah, the idea of boredom is super radical, right? To be bored is to push back against capitalist ideals because you should always be productive. I swear to God, everybody, this is about singleness and it's all related. You should allow yourself to be bored, to get introspective, allow your time and space to think. Because I think that is so beautiful, Jace. This idea of spending time with yourself, time that is not productive, just bored. People are supposed to be bored.
Yeah, people are meant to think.
They're meant to think. I also think being bored is as fundamental as good sleep. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't allow myself to be bored. Like, I've got really shit boredom hygiene. Don't get me wrong.
I think that it's normal to internalize that boredom is not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're bombarded with messages to the fact. But one of the things that I'm most grateful for about my undergraduate formation in PR is that boredom was a topic. Particularly my theoretical professors drilled into me the importance of doing nothing, the importance of thinking. A scholar is not a scholar if she does not sit down to just think. Otherwise, we're burning ourselves out on thoughts, on writing, on output. But we need time to just let our brain make connections on its own. And that is fundamental and necessary. And being taught that that is a crucial element to scholarship, and not like a maybe, not an add-on, but a crucial element to writing the most fantastic books that have ever been written and that will ever be written, that soothes something in me. That healed something in me, not having to produce every second of the day.
So do you find that boredom is a part of, I guess we'll call it the formula for unconditional love to ourselves, or of self-love?
I would say so. Because it is in that moment of boredom that you're able to catch yourself. And the moment that you catch yourself in the middle of a thought of, I'm a pretty cool human being, that's when you know something has clicked inside you in your subconscious. Once you're outside just staring at the waves, you're like, man, life is good. That's when you know something has clicked in you, when you don't have to force the thought to come to mind.
But also finding external success is very essential to self-love, right? Like, being very successful will help me love myself more, right?
Jace? What does Bell Hooks have to say?
I don't know. You tell me.
Bell Hooks write in this very same chapter on commitment how success does not make up for lack of self-esteem. It does not make up for self-love. To achieve wild success and not have self-esteem, in other words, and to not believe that you deserve it, leads to blatant self-sabotage. And the way that Bell Hooks speaks about this is a process of unmasking. You achieve wild success, but you do not feel aligned with that success. You don't feel like you deserve it. You start engaging in behaviors that, when revealed, will unmask who you truly believe yourself to be. Right? It is important to remember that our ideas, our imagination truly shape our reality, and they shape who we are. Who we think we are is who we are, period. Regardless of accolades, achievements, goals, material wealth that we have, who you think you are is far more important and will dictate what you do next.
And what we do next is accepting the kind of love that we think we deserve. I think that's one of the most powerful things that Bell Hooks writes about in the chapters that I was reading in preparation for this, is this idea that the way you love yourself is in direct proportion with how you allow other people to love you. And I was like, Bell, it's a little early in the morning for you to come for me like that, but I'm with you. I'm rocking with it. So much of these chapters just like hit so hard. And for those of you reading at home, I'd really love your thoughts on what you've been reading so far, and if it's made as big an impact on you as it obviously has on me and Jace. But like, what do you think about that? It's a very evocative, simple statement.
I just think that she has a point. How are we ever going to allow ourselves to receive a love that we have not given to ourselves? A love that we have no clue how it looks, how it feels like. I can't go about my days hating myself and then search and find a partner who will give me unconditional love and accept me as I am. There's a cognitive dissonance there, a profound one. Which is why I think that and why I love this chapter particularly, as Belle ties self-esteem to self-love. We need to see ourselves as capable, as assertive, as whole human beings, so that we can say, I love you in your entirety, all that you have been through and all that you are and all that you will be.
If I can be a little vulnerable with the class, going back to my dating years in Boston, I thought that I deserved just whatever scraps people gave me. I had gone my whole life being like undervalued and unappreciated. I'm like, oh, that's what love is. And therefore, I have to work so hard and sacrifice. When I started, this dialogue with myself, or what I want, and working on things and noticing habits and going to therapy and picking my way through the bullshit, I remember I started dating better people. And I just mean better in the sense that they communicated. I remember dating a guy for a little bit who was really nice, great on paper. And then I met Richie. For those of you who don't know, Richie's my partner and also the sound engineer for this fabulous podcast. And the way we just kind of clicked into each other was so easy and normal and had no chaos or butterflies around it, actually. And I was like, I really like him. And I feel super confident about it. I'm not nervous at all. And I told that to some of my friends, and they were like, oh, well, nervousness means that you like him. So are you attracted to him? I'm like, yeah, a lot. But actually, love and nervousness don't have to go together. The global pandemic happened. He had to move into my home. He was in my room. All of a sudden, this guy I saw twice a week but talked to every day was living with me. And that was also really easy. I just went with it. An earlier version of me would never have been able to conceptualize just being at ease with someone and asking them, what do you mean by that? Asking them, what do you want? This is what I want. That made me upset. Man, being in love with someone who loves me is so neat because I'm not my best version every day. Most days I'm not. And still, we have strong dialogue. We're clear about our intent. And that has allowed us to grow as individuals as well as a couple. So I wouldn't have what I have now if I hadn't been investigative and curious about myself and loved myself in a really fundamental way.
Being curious about yourself allows you to be curious about other people. It allows you to be curious about your feelings. It allows you to embrace something different, something that goes against the norm. I think that that's the most romantic thing ever. I like to say that Anna and I fell in love because she voiced a need and I expressed a boundary, and that was it. We were smitten for each other for life. Because it wasn't easy at the start. I was in a very vulnerable state, and she was too. It was so wild to me that a beautiful love story could begin from being clear about what we needed and what we could offer at that moment in time.
It's almost like it's not supposed to be chaotic and make you feel scared, which we'll talk more about. I will happily tell you all how to actually date. I have a mission in mind, but Jace, I know you want to talk about the connection of self-love and divine love and all the many meanings of the term. So before I go on a whole other thing, continue, please. I beg of you.
The last note that I wanted to leave all of you with, loving ourselves has a profound connection with divine love and spirituality because we are honoring the human experience that we're having right now. And honoring ourselves in our human experience is what allows us to extend that privilege to those around us. It fosters community. It also allows us to connect with others on a spiritual level. And that's really what it is. If we are to practice the kind of love that Bell Hooks urges us to, where we extend our own will for the purpose of another spiritual growth, then we must start there. We must start in the sacredness of looking at each other and saying, I see you as a whole human being. I see you. And we're going to move forward. We're going to have fun. And everything that we do will honor the entirety of yourself and the entirety of myself as who we are.
And with that beautiful thought in mind, we're going to pause from a word from our sponsors.
Bisexual Killjoy is growing, friends.
What started as just a podcast has now blossomed into a whole community project.
We're not only dropping episodes, we've got culture commentary and hyper-personal essays just for you on our Substack. Get all your burning questions answered through our advice column, Give It To Me by Plus, and you can hang out with other Killjoys in our brand new Discord server.
The best part?
It's free to join.
But if you love the work we do and want to make sure we don't burn the fuck out, you can become a paid subscriber and you'll get sweet perks like bonus episodes, bonus posts, and exclusive discussion groups with your favorite Killjoys.
We'd love to have you in the mix.
Come join the community.
See you there.
And we're back. Now we're talking about the part of the show, not that I don't very much believe in self-love and what Bell Hooks is talking about, but I'm sorry, I need you all to lean in to what I'm about to say. Dating is not that fucking hard. But let me explain before you make that face. Let me explain. I mean that dating people is hard, but there's so much nervousness around engaging in dating as a concept and as a practice. And I'm speaking specifically about bi plus women and femmes, specifically those who have not. I don't like being socialized in queer culture because being bi is its own version of queer culture. But like if you didn't have a queer group on campus or you didn't live in a very queer city, you didn't ever meet, you might not have ever met a queer person until you were much older in life. And so you don't know how to engage. You don't know how to play to the rules of queer dating. And there are rules.
What are the rules?
What are the rules? It's like, it's a vibe. It's a vibe, you know?
The rules are vibes, and everybody take notes.
They kind of are. They kind of are. In terms of bi plus women dating, queer women dating, there's a lot more immediate emotional closeness that I find a lot of like queer women have with one another because we're socialized to be emotionally vulnerable, which means that we're more susceptible to love bombing. We're more susceptible to like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because if you're a queer woman who's not dated another queer woman before, you're like, this is amazing. Oh my God, women are awesome. And they are. Women are awesome. But sometimes, you know, like we lose ourselves in the courtship of it all because we've never been shown kindness before.
Why are you calling me out this way, Bailey?
See, I don't even know your whole story, Jace. And yet you're resonating with this stern talking to. Okay, so when I actually talk to queer women who tell me that, oh, I'm really scared of women, I'm so nervous to talk to girls, I don't say what I want to say, which is like, if you want to eat, you have to ask to be fed. You know what I mean?
I'm just letting you read this out.
So women come to me and they'll say, like, I'm scared of talking to women. I'm like, well, why? Why are you scared of talking to women? Oh, girls are so nice and so pretty and they're so this and they're so that. I'm like, well, you're also all of those things. You are also so pretty and so kind and so beautiful and all these other things. But there's like this disbelief, this disconnect from self-love, right? That, oh, well, I'm not good enough to date a woman. I'm scared that she'll be rejected.
I mean, I agree.
The idea that is perpetuated in social media is that women are scary and that women can't be talked to. But the thing is, how do you want to be approached? If you're a bi plus woman who was interested in talking to other women, how would you want to be approached? Well, I'd want someone to come up to me and like notice something specific about me and start a conversation. Well, boom, there you go. That's how you do it. That's all you got to do is notice something specific about someone else, compliment it, ask a question. And they say something and you're like, oh, amazing. Ask another question and just like go back and forth. And all of a sudden you're having a conversation. There's the pitfall of like, well, how do I make my intent known that I am romantically or sexually interested in them? Because women give women compliments all the time. And I know I'm using very gendered languages here, so just bear with me for a minute as I walk through this. You go up to someone and you say, I noticed your eyes across the bar. They're so beautiful. Like, I just need to get a closer look at them. Who says that? You know what I mean? Be specific about your compliment. Lean in. Make it known. Like, you're so beautiful. Can I get you a drink? Can I do this? Can I do that? Boom, you're in. That's it. That's all it's got to be.
Yeah.
Richie called me the pickup artist for bi women.
I think that there's truth to that. I think that if Richie said it, I defer to our sound engineer. He knows a lot.
He knows a lot. But for bi guys, right? Bi guys have a different sort of struggle around talking to other guys, but also what do you do when you're a bi guy with a woman and you disclose that you're bi and she reacts poorly? And the answer is like, well, you don't want to date her anyway because she's not very nice. But again, it's all about coming up with intent. And dating is just being a kind, engaged, curious person. That's the secret.
That is true. And I will say that what always gets me when I'm meeting people out in the wild, in the real world, is when we strike up a conversation and we're having fun. And then if she comes in and leans close and says, I'm actually really, really into you. Could I have your phone number?
Boom!
And I'm like, I'm dead. Yeah, you can have my phone number.
Yeah.
I mean, you can come with me back home if you want. Like,
But see, that's your lobby. You can be like, oh, I can give you my phone number. I can give you my address. And it's fun. If you reframe flirting, dating, making your intention known with less mission critical pressure, be like, if this doesn't go perfectly, I'll be alone until I'm dead. And more of just like, ooh, I get to compliment someone. I get to make them squirm. I get to make them blush. Then dating's a game. Then it's fun. Then it's something that you get to play with another person. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is. I've had times where I walked up to a woman, I said she was beautiful. She was like not into me. She was into the compliment. Then I'm like, you have a beautiful night, baby. And then you walk away. And that's it. We had a good time in those 2 or 3 minutes that we got to engage as people. So basically, as I'm chastising you, I just want you to take a deep breath and be like, oh, it's actually not that serious. It's not. And that's okay. Like, it shouldn't feel serious. It should feel fun and playful. The intensity will be there as you get to know them. You know what I mean? Like, just go in to connect. Whatever happens, happens. Let go of the result and move on. Like, oh my God, so zen, Bailey. So zen.
Uncharacteristically zen, Bailey.
I know, right?
As we lean into the it's not that serious and just relax mentality, also keep in mind that if you are dating with long-term intentions to find a long-term partner, keep your standards high. Keep your standards high. There is no need, like, you don't owe anyone a second date. You don't owe anyone emotional labor from your part. Yeah, some people might be hurt after you reject them, if that's the case, or your feelings might be hurt if they reject you. That's part of the human experience. You move on.
Yep.
And you learn from that experience. It all goes well. But keeping your standards high is doing a favor to yourself and to other people. It means you waste your time less, you waste other people's time less, and you can find someone who is actually compatible with you for that long-term relationship sooner.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you are bi plus single and ready to mingle and you're not looking for long-term anything and you're looking for hookups and fun, it stands around being fun, keeping your standards high, knowing what you look for. Because when you love yourself, but you're still looking for short-term hookups, which we love, you're more likely to take care of your health. You're more likely to do all of the things that we need to do to practice sexual hygiene. And it being Bi Plus Health Month right now, which is in March every year, I would encourage you all to know your status, talk to your doctor about whatever reproductive medicines that you may need, and also your sexual health testing. So take care of yourself, take care of the community, and have fun out there.
If you would like a Bi Plus choir to preach to about the woes and fun things about dating, our Discord is an awesome place to do that. We might actually chime in every once in a while. We chime in a lot, actually, not gonna lie. And Bailey might surprise us with a class on flirting. Who knows?
Look, I am teaching a class on flirting because I'm not going through another June in Boston where people tell me they don't know how to flirt. I'm over it. Am over it. You all are just taking it too seriously. Anyway, I'll show you how. If you're in Boston, you want to take a flirting class, no dates announced yet. But if you ever take me out for a drink, I will teach you how to flirt and I will absolutely wing for you. So however many people just listen to that, it's a promise, a threat. I don't know, pick one.
It's both. We're bisexual here. It's always both.
It's always both. As usual, we have homework for you. For our Bi Plus listeners, for the love of God, go to singles events for queer people. I know it doesn't always feel like we're allowed to be in those spaces, but you are queer. You are queer. You can go to the queer event and just go to events in general. Build out that social network. Have fun. Meet people. Make connections.
For our allies, gentle reminder to welcome Bi Plus people into dating spaces. Be welcoming and kind and excited when Bi Plus people join in. It's always going to be a good time.
And for our LGBTQ plus organizations, you should host Bi Plus singles mixers. There are a lot of us. We don't often see a space that is specifically Bi Plus. So just from an event success perspective, you should be hosting these events and getting people into your room so they can know that you exist. And with that, thank you for tuning into Bisexual Killjoy, where we know that bisexuality isn't a phase, it's a phenomenon. To support us, share us with your friends, subscribe to our Substack, and rate our podcast, preferably 5 stars, wherever you are listening to us right now. As always, we want to hear from you, and we would love to answer your questions in our advice column, Give It To Me Bi Plus. You can support us on Patreon to keep the work going and get access to our community Discord and some other goodies. And until we meet again, keep being a bisexual killjoy.
Stay bisexual and stay strong.